Yes, indeed. And Mr. Emmanuel Mock is the National Chairman, National Transformation Party. He's with me here. How concerned are you? Welcome to the program. How concerned are you that this much number of PVCs are still lying there uncollected? You're a party. You're also going into the elections. What are you doing to try to address that?
Well, first let me say this. Our party was one of those registered by INEC, okay, and because of that, we will not be going into the elections as National Transformation Party, but we are going into the election now on the platform of some other parties, mainly SDP. As per the matter of so many uncollected voter cards, it's a very worrying matter, especially because we know so many people who want to collect their voter cards, but they don't see. There are many places they go to, many of the locations, like even my son who is turning 18. INEC originally said that at local government offices. He went to the local government office in Mushi and they said he should go to a school. He went to the school, he didn't see anybody there. And so you have, and there are so many, I have my staff. In fact, I practically gave my staff a holiday because I see this as a very important thing. Make sure you get your voters' cards. I have members of the church that we are pushing, go get your voter card. And they complain, you go there, there's only one PVC machine and maybe one or two INEC people.
But INEC is trying to address that now, deploying more machines.
That's the issue. You are trying to address it. How are you going to address it? You have a population of millions of people. And then you bring, like they said, 400 new capture machines. What is 400 in the sieve of Nigeria for registration? There are 772 local governments. There are so many wards. I would expect that INEC would, roll out as they did. Okay, even when you go to register at the polling unit, you are supposed to know the number of your polling booth itself. But those polling booths, those information are not provided there. And so somebody just goes, you leave your street and just go to the local government because you want to register. And they ask you, what is the number of your polling unit? There's no way you can know it. These informations are all issues like that. Then you have 8 million voter cards that are with INEC. Now, why don't they now publish, let's say take as the stock exchange does sometimes, publish a long list of people who have not collected their voter cards on a state-by-state basis, so that people can check through the list. Their name is there. That would be a ginger for them to go. Then you know there are a lot of people who relocated because of Boko Haram from the north to the south. So many people, or even were just in IDP camps. Their cards are some of those cards with INEC. INEC has to think out of the box.
Are you sure that some of them, those are their cards with INEC?
Those has to be the bulk of the cards with INEC, because you registered in Maiduguri and you've moved. You registered in Kano and you moved. You're not going back there to collect it or something like that.
Would you stand with the comment that suggests, say for instance, since INEC can get people to register and they've got long queues for registration and very few queues, he says maybe in 15 minutes, 30 minutes you get one person coming to inquire about the cards. Can we have a system that is able to immediately register and get the cards printed, and then you collect it and go?
That's what it's, okay. My staff that went to register, even my, also another of my relations that went to register, they gave something like, they said, come in June to collect your card. The person registered in January, they said, come in June to collect your voter card. That means in June, there will be other queues. Why not, as you come there, you collect your card? And at each point, since it's at the local government office you were doing it, you have like 10 PVC machines, so that, because people work, then also they are not registering on Saturday. So how can somebody like you who is working most of the time during the week, you can, even if your office allows you 1 hour or 2 hours to see if you can go pick up your card, you get there, there are too many people, you just leave the place. And on Saturday when you have time, INEC is not registering people. So, and there is so much that we hear that's going on. I don't want to go into all of that at this point. It's just that, personally, I feel that this thing needs to be taken far more seriously, because too many people have not registered. INEC say they have 8 million uncollected cards. Those cards can be used in rigging elections. And I can tell you sincerely as a political person.
But we still have some time though, so it's very likely that those 8 million cards will eventually be collected.
I don't agree. That's what they said last time. I don't agree. You can hear what he said, that only 100 and something thousand cards have been collected out of 8 million. I don't agree. Rather, for me, publish those. If you cannot publish them, let all the political parties come together, and maybe those cards, either before the election, they'll be quarantined somehow.
You know that INEC has got the full complement of the Electoral Act to go fully digital.
Yes.
How would you advise, for instance, or how do you see the story playing out if, say, INEC, for instance, is able to boycott, since we're going fully digital,
yes,
to bypass, or should I, no, not boycott, to bypass that process that has to do with getting voters to wait long in their queues with the views to having some of those concerns raised along the lines of transmitting their places of registration to new ones?
You see, that's if we're going digital, like INEC is saying. If you take like the ATM, that's one of the things I keep telling them. Take like the ATM. You have your ATM from your bank in Badagry. You can use your ATM in Sokoto and vote. I mean, and collect money. If you don't have money in your account, even in London, the card will tell you that you don't have. The machine will tell you that. So I would have liked INEC to deploy, now that we're going, the Electoral Act is permitting them to go fully digital, to also implement a system where you don't have to create all these very cumbersome processes.
You mean like the ballot boxes? Can the electronic system do away with ballot boxes? Because he did say that we'll have to, looking at logistics, if we have to do elections, we'll have to increase the ballot boxes.
Which means you are looking at both electronic and manual. But if you had a straight electronic system that could be properly monitored, then it would simplify elections. Also, it will simplify the process of location of registration and location of voting. But still, it will not stop the process of getting your identification, which is either your national ID or your voter cards. These are the issues that I feel the National Assembly should have properly addressed. Okay? And also that INEC, genuinely thinking out of the box, trying to fight all the forms of rigging that come up, especially with snatching of ballot boxes, with stuffing of ballot boxes, have a system in place where if one person's fingerprint has been captured on the voting machine on the date of voting, if that fingerprint comes on again, that machine will raise an alert that this person has voted. This is what INEC is supposed to implement, and the technology is there. And INEC is spending the kind of monies that should, put this out there. But every day you find them skirting what they are supposed to do and remaining in very vague areas that gives room for fraud, that gives room for doubt, that gives room to question their integrity. Okay, you can imagine registering children, as we are hearing in Kano, they say because they were threatened. Every local government in the country, INEC, is going to be threatened during the elections because people want to win the election. So if you have an empire that would fall because it was threatened, and you have the security forces, you can't protect them.
Do you think that the state local, that would be the state houses of assemblies in states, do you think they would support the INEC chairman in trying to get INEC itself to conduct elections for states?
Well, you see, we political party leaders have wanted that INEC, national INEC, conduct election for states because we find that in each state where the state electoral commission conducts election, the party in power just wins 100%. So for political parties, especially new political parties or political parties that are not incumbent in those states, we are looking for an umpire that is not under the apron string of the governor. And that is why, in fact, we had actually put forward proposals to the effect that let there be just one electoral body that organizes all elections across the country.
Do you think this will survive with the state?
Personally, I prefer that. Because, sincerely, look at all the elections organized. Delta State organizes election, PDP wins 100%. Kano State organizes election, APC wins 100%. Lagos organizes election, APC wins. So, when it was Labour Party in Ondo State, Labour Party government in Ondo State organized election, Labour Party wins 100%.
Okay, let's go back to Abuja and get some of the responses, some of the submissions that you made, and get those responses from Abuja.